Okay, good evening. So today my talks on the basics of genetics. Uh, this class we are going to review on the basic Mendelian inheritance and how it is going to help us for the linkage map construction or how the classical genetics is complementing our molecular breeding. This is our discussion today. So from the slide, you can see that how the Mendel experiments, how he successfully coined the theory of inheritance and law of segregations, how he did because of very simple piece experiment. So this class we are going to talk on the Mendelian genetics, how the heritable variations, pattern of inheritance, and also how the concept of dominance, which help to know the trait of interest. And also we sometimes we want to know between the type and phenotype. So many of our molecular breeding or markeristic experiments, people commonly use the terms phenotypes and genotypes. So how the phenotype and genotypes always have greater implication on any trait selection, that also we are going to discuss. And also the Mendelian laws, just refresh your memories, law of segregation and also law of independent assortment, how these have still it's from 1865 even today, how it is been classical genetics help us to get more information on the molecular markeristic breeding. And also complications in the Mendelian genetics. After the Mendelian genetics, what are the other complications arise, allelic actions and interactions, and also the genetic interaction, genic interactions, factor affecting the phenotype, mutation. These are all things which later came after the Mendelian genetics, how it affect the classical Mendelian genetics, the trait which are segregating the classical way, how it been affected by other interacting trait. And also finally the linkages. So Morgan law of T.S. Morgan, when work on whitefly, how the capitalize the idea on the linkages and crossover. So this is the basic principle. Linkage and crossover will tell you about present day map constructions, and also how the markers, when you arrange the markers in the chromosome or the linkage maps, how to find the distance between the marker, and if the distance, if we found out the distance, how it have implication on if the crossovers occurs, what is the distance, how much it have implied on the progenies, and when you select a particular trait or a particular marker, how it been reliable. Still these linkage and crossovers are very important nowadays. So these are the things we are going to discuss today. Part of them are refresh your memories on the old, when you study the genetics course or in your school days when you studied the genetics, or later in your undergraduate program earlier courses, just to refresh some of your memories and how it have big implication on this course. So right hand side, you can see the typical Mendelian experiments. When the flower color in the peas, there is a pink and there is a violet and white color flowers. When you cross these two flowers, when you go for F1 generation, the violet color usually appears because it's a dominant traits. So again, when you allow for selfing the F1, then you will get a F2. When you get a filial generation 2, you have the segregation for the trait. So if it is segregate for 3:1, a single dominant gene is operating in the trait. This is the classical way. Any examples when we study Mendelian genetics, people look on that. Okay, so let's see one by one. You already familiar. Some of you may be familiar well, or when you have interest in more on the genetics, you have studied many cases and many examples also. So when you see that, then how he able to get the idea of law of inheritance, so the heritable variations and patterns of inheritance. So when you choose a trait, even now when you select any two parents for your crossing program, you are very clear on that the two traits are contrasting in nature. When you make your crosses, you will can able to phenotype very clearly these two contrasting phenotype. you will be successful in mapping the trait of interest in a phenotypic way also. Same way your marker also, if a marker is having good ability to genotype it, proper genotyping method is available, then it's easy to construct the maps. So how Mendel, when he worked on the Gordon P experiments, Gregor Mendel, when he started his experiments, he the first person study the law of inheritance, which already you know that. So how he can able to derive the fundamentals of the genetics by simply studying phenotype alone. So you all know that during 1865, there is no information on the genes, there is no hereditary information on the gene, where it is located, how it passes on to the generation, nobody knows. But he's taken very simple Gordon Peas and he tried to make a crosses. By that he got some kind of experimental proof. By that still the genetics theory is still hold good. How is able to do that? So the heritable, Mendel carried out some of the cross fertilization. He created the hybrids. So first what he did, he taken very simple pea plants. There what he did, he made a crosses. He taken this, chosen the violet color flower as a one parent, one pea plant which have violet color flower, another plant which have the white color flower. So he taken the pollen from these stamens from the white color flower plant, and he dusted on the female which have the violet type of flower. So what he did, this is you already know that it is a papilionaceae type of flower. So the 9+1 stamens are attached along with this style. So you have to carefully remove the anther alone, and you have to, that means it's you have to remove the, before self-pollination, you have to remove the pollens, and anthers are completely removed before dehiscence of pollen. Then you collect the pollen from the male and dusted it. And whatever the seed he collected from this female, these seeds is a F1 seed, hybrid seeds. This he collect the seeds and planted in the next generation, that is F1 generation seeds. So he planted, the hybrid seeds are planted, this we call it as filial generation 1. After that, these plants, he self-it, that self-eating, then it went for filial generation 2. Okay, so Mendel, when conducted the experiments, he did in 3 different stages. Very clearly, when very cautiously he made the experiments, he is not able to, he take only the trait which are very contrasting each other, and also he not allow any kind of multiple allele or some of the epistatics, some of the interactions are he avoided, whether he knowingly or unknowingly, but he carefully chosen the parent only the contrasting type. So he allowed the plant to self-fertilize for several generations until they become breed true. As we discussed the earlier classes also, when you make a F1s and then you go to F2, that filial generation 2, after that you self-it by going single seed design method. If you continuously self-it and keep the pedigree on the track, and after continuous selfing, after few generation or 5-6 generation, it become homozygous status. So he carefully made a crosses and then allowed for selfing for several generations and make it a breed true. Then breed true, you can able to easily get a homozygous type. Then he crossed the plant with alternate form of trait. For example, whenever you make your crosses, for example, flower color means he taken only violet color flower with the white color flower. So he carefully chosen alternative form. Later, the words are coined later only after the rediscovery of Mendel's work. So, alternate form, when there is a gene, for example, purple color, this is alternate allele is white color. So, every gene it have alternate allele. So, he chosen the plants, alternate form, clear alternate form, purple and white. And another thing, he allowed the hybrid plants to self-fertilize for several generations and followed the trait of interest. So after selfing, after crossing, he self-fertilized, allow for several generations, segregate, and made observations, allow the trait to segregate. So by that he can able to derive the conclusions. So these are all the very interesting points when you study the mental's work. You can get, even now, for example, after the so many years, even though you can, when you work on any trait now, if you follow these basic principles of handling any of the complex traits, if you follow this kind of clear principles and develop a bigger population, you can easily able to derive some informations how the traits are segregating. This is the message you have to take from the mental's work. Okay, the first thing what he did is he did monohybrid crosses. That means he taken only single trait at a time. But you see nowadays, after the lot of genomics works going on, a lot of sequencing data we got, lot of markers we get, lot of traits which nowadays we are able to simultaneously look on the many trait. But if you take carefully one trait at a time, they will get a very good clarity on whenever you work on big population. So the way in which mental started the work, like he taken a purple flower and made a cross with white flower and make F1 generation. So F1, what is the F1? This is a filial generation one, the heterotic one. So it is always express character which is a dominant nature of character. So if the purple flower is dominant or white, always purple will be there in the F1. Whatever may be the trait, whatever the trait he studied, more than 6 to 7 character when he studied, wherever the dominant trait always appears in the F1. So we call it as, when you check on the F1, when you make it contrasting parents, when you look on the F1, whatever the character which you are expressed in the F1, we call it as dominant. This character is dominant. So the white is recessive trait. So it is a dominant allele. This alternate form of purple is white, that is recessive allele. Then he carefully did self-fertilization of F1 plants. Then he raised the progeny, F2 filial generation 2, he raised near garden, and he can observe the flower color again. When you look on the observe the flower color, it segregate. So it segregate. So the plant differ only, this case he look only one character at a time. So he looked on the segregation only on the flower color. So it segregate for 3:1. That is, it's having the simple monohybrid ratio being proposed. So the law of segregation, what it shows when monohybrid crosses when we made, law of segregation shows that when there is an alternate version of allele, alternate version of genes, we call it as allele, account for variation of inherited characters. So here the capital P is the purple is the dominant allele, and small p is the recessive allele. So what is the color, flower color allele? One is the allele, dominant allele present in the purple color and recessive in the white color plants. So for each character, an organism inherit 2 allele, one from each parent. When you look on the F1s, it inherited 1 allele from female mother, another allele from father. So always it inherits 1 allele from each allele from one parent. So this is, it may be a one parent may be a dominant allele, another parent will be recessive allele. The 2 allele differ, then one, the dominant allele is fully expressed in the organism appearance. The recessive alleles have no noticeable effect on the organism appearance. So F1s only the dominant allele will appear. The recessive allele don't have appearance, but it is having its effects on organism, it is there. Okay, so the alleles of each character segregate separately during the gametic production. So that means when you have capital P, when we have small p, when the F1 have capital P and small p, when these two, when these capital P and small p allele, it segregate independently and segregate separately during production of gametes. That's why when you go for checkerboard, so all possible combination of 4 kind of possible combination you will get: capital P, capital P, capital P, small p, capital P, small p, and small p, small p. So this is, that's why he can able to derive the law of segregation. Say the character will segregate during the gamete production during meiosis, and This is the law of, he can able to derive the conclusion by observing these F2 individuals, and he given the law of segregations. So same way, when you look on the dihybrid ratio, so monohybrid ratio, when you look on a single trait, it is easy. We can say that how it segregates. But when you go for two trait at a time, so he also studied two character at a time. By that, he can able to derive some additional information. Dihybrid cross studying increases of two traits simultaneously. If you want to do, nowadays we can have multiple traits we are studying. But whenever you take two traits at a time, even that time he taken. So Mendel crossed two varieties which have two breeding types. Again, it's very clear. Yellow round seeds are crossed with wrinkled green seeds, and these two contrasting types. Then he found F1s all having the yellow on round. That means yellow is dominant, round also dominant over other traits. Upon set fertilization of F1s, he found F2 segregate for 9:3:3:1. So this is the normally when you study the dihybrid ratio, the law of independent assortment, how they independently assort each other. When you, even if you put a two character at a time, it's independently assorted independently. For example, capital R, capital Y, capital R is a yellow and round, small y, small r is a green and wrinkled. When you make your crosses, you always get F1 as a dominant will express, so yellow and round. And when it segregate, you can see all kind of, you already studied this kind of checkerboard experiments. So here, if it is not independently assorted, you only have two kind of progenies, either yellow round or the green wrinkle. But since it segregate independently, so every gametes, you have all possible combination of segregation in the sperms and eggs. Because of that, you have all 9:6:6:3:1, all kind of recombinants you are getting. So this is why when you make a dihybrid crosses, he proved that the alleles are segregate independently. So that's why he law of independent assortment he can able to propose. So the law of inheritance, the principle of segregations, the pairs of alleles segregate during the gamete formation. Upon fertilization, the alleles are paired upon again during the fertilization process. So the mental principle of independent assortment, each allele segregate independently during gamete formations. So even though he given very clear-cut idea on how the law of inheritance and the independent assortment, there are, after that, when he taken only one character at a time, sometimes he can take two character or three at a time, but he carefully chosen the plant which have clear dominant trait, very clear dominant over the other allele, or dominant recessive conditions. Then there is no problem on getting the clear segregation, either 9:3:3:1 or the 3:1. You can easily, there is no. So there are complications in the Mendelian inheritance, because when you all the traits nowadays, now we are looking many of the disease resistance or yield or some of the traits which are more complex, not controlled by singularly. There are more genes are controlling, not single gene. So that means each genes have smaller effect. So that case, some may be multiple allele will control, sometimes lethal allele may perform, sometimes dominant may not be a complete one, so we call it as incomplete dominance. So those cases will not behave normal Mendelian segregation, because when it is a completely dominant trait, the violet is completely dominant over white, then you can express always violet color. If the violet is not completely dominant, then its cases will be different. So those cases came. Similarly, epistatic interactions, which we studied earlier also, pleiotrophy, and also other factors which also affect the phenotype, like genetic factor, environmental factor, which also may come into later, lot of things which came into picture. Another one more thing which you have to be very carefully you have to notice, there is an incomplete dominance. The incomplete dominance phenomena, when it is when a red is crossed with white flower, you will get F1 surprisingly the new color, that is pink color. So that shows red is not completely dominant over white. So because of that, it expresses pink color. Even though it is a heterozygote, but complete dominant nature of red color is not expressed. Because of that, you will get a pink color. So it will have heterozygote. Similarly, when you self-fit the F1, the F2 generation, you will get 1:2:1. This we call it as incomplete dominance. So this phenomena, which always, whenever the trait when you are working, there is not a complete dominant is there, this kind of situations you will face. Okay. There are some cases, the multiple alleles, each allele contributes small amount of variance to the total phenotypes. So these cases also will come across many cases. And also genic interaction. Sometimes two or more genes acting on one trait because of that novel phenotype will occur. Sometimes if you see even the seed color in case of many of the pulses, it's have the more than 5-6 genes will contribute for the darkness, dark red color. Sometimes when you spectrum of color variation, you can see wherever the trait, if you see any spectrum of variation, it is not contributed by a single gene, and also it is not a completely dominant over other traits. So sometimes there are more genes acting. So those cases you have to be very careful. You have to deal as a quantitative trait, not as a single trait. Okay. One gene acting more than one trait, sometimes the periodic. Okay, so far we discussed about Mendelian segregations and also how we derive the law of segregation and inheritance. Now let's see, when you look on this kind of Mendelian genetics, the trait, then how to use this trait for our linkage problem. So the Morgan principle came. So the Morgan laws, what he say, gene occur in a linear order in a chromosome. So during Mendelian times, we don't know where is the chromosome and where is the genetic material present. Those things are, even the people doesn't know, even though it's something in some of the inheritance are there in the plant, but where it is location, they know. But Morgan's, when he proved in an experiment, the genes are occur in linear order in the chromosome. Linked genes are on the same chromosome. If the genes are linked, one or two genes, if you look, these are all the trait which you studied. These are all, when it located in different chromosome, it independently assault. But the genes are located very close to each other on the same chromosome, then we call it as linked genes. So genes can be exchanged between the chromosome during the exchange of chromatic segment happens. This again Morgan's law shows the closer the genes are located on the chromosome, then less likely. Okay. So some of you, please, put off your mic. Some mics are not muted, please. Okay. Let's see how he concluded the Morgan laws, which have some kind of connection with the chromosomal basis of inheritance. Later they come, after the Mendel's invention be rediscovered during 1900. After that, the chromosomal inheritance and this chromosomal basis are linked with how the Mendelian laws also been later they able to link with the chromosomal inheritance. So the chromosome basis of Mendelian law also it says that when you make a crosses between these two and when you get during meiosis, the homologous chromosome pair each other. That means parental chromosome mother, one set of chromosome from mother, another set of chromosome from father. When they F1 they come together during the pairing of homologous chromosomes, there is a chance of recombination occur. So during the meiosis 1, the exchange of chromatic segment happen. That's why the recombination happens during the prophase 1. So after that, the chromosomes exchange happen between the sister chromatids. The sister chromatids, the exchange of chromosome segment happen. Then it segregate and it derived progenies. You will get a lot of recombinants. So this will be related to your theory of recombinants. Okay. So here, when you look on any map, even now, look for any kind of linkage maps. Already you studied in the previous course also molecular marker technology course. when you construct the linkage maps, when you locate the markers on the chromosomes, same way what the Morgan experiments initially on the in the fruit fly experiment, he clearly proved that how the genes are located on the chromosome. It is orderly arranged on the chromosome. For example, if this gene loci, for example, capital P, small a, and capital B. So when the loci, 3 loci are arranged in one chromosomes, this is the order. This pair is the dominant allele, homozygous dominant. This is homozygous recessive allele because AA, if it is capital A, small a, it is a heterozygote. But this case, small a is homozygous for recessive allele, is homozygous for dominant allele. And this case, it is a heterozygote. So the dominant allele and recessive alleles, anyhow, when a pair of chromosome, when you analyze it, one from father, another from mother. So it is either you have one dominant allele, then an alternate form is you have recessive allele on the other pair of other homologous chromosome. So that's why when you look on any chromosomes or any linkage map, you can see that if you look on a phenotype, it have alternate form, alternate allele will be there. When you do genotype, if it is a homozygous, if both alleles are homozygous, then you will get, if heterozygous or homozygous, nowadays people can able to differentiate by genotyping method. So that when Morgan given the explanation on the linkage, if the 2 genes are close enough together, they will not assort independently. So the Mendelian genetics tell that the genes are independently inherited, provided the conditions. If the genes are very close to each other in the chromosomes, they will not assort independently. That means how close? Again the question. Sometimes if you say that rise a small genome like 430 megabase MB, then for example 800 above 800 MB in case of Vigna. When you look on the genomes, if the 2 genes are very close located, if they're less than 1 centimorgan or 2 centimorgan, it is very close enough that you may not assort independently. If it is a 5 centimorgan or 10 centimorgan update, then the possibilities of recombination is there. If they are not close to each other, then there is a possibility of recombination. We call it as crossover even, crossing over occurs. So the linkages, so that there is when there is a two possible cis and trans possible combination also occur. So if you say that if there is 2 genes are far away, not very close, then there is possibility of crossover. So where is the crossover? The crossover occur during phase 1 of meiosis. After that, during the pairing of homologous chromosome that we call it as pairing of chromosome synapses, the genetic material exchange happened between the chromatid of sister chromosomes, pair of chromatids of the homologous chromosome, which result in the recombination or the recombination of linked allele. So this already you studied in your meiosis, when you know that meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. At the end of the meiosis 2, you get 4 daughter nuclei, which have all independently assorted all the different kind of alleles which come, which we mixed with both the parents, and finally after recombination during the prophase of meiosis 1, we can able to get recombined gametes. These gametes have different combination of the recombined one. So the homologous and individual chromosomes and also the sister. So this way, at the end of the meiosis 2, you will get 4 sister chromatid, which have after the complete recombination occurs. So this meiosis 2, the first meiosis 1 replication followed by meiosis 2, the reductional divisions. Finally, you will get instead of n number, you will get instead of 2n number, you will get n number of gametes. During fertilization, again, it becomes 2n. So this is the process. So let's see another 5 minutes in this presentation, how the crossover is very important whenever you study any linkage or the recombination frequency in a population. So, for example, this is the crossover type, this is non-crossover type. If there is no crossover between 2 sister chromatid, two chromatids, there is no crossover happens, it always goes as it is. There is no recombination at all. This green color and red color will always go separately. So the green, red, this is one parent, this is from another parent. There is no recombination. So whatever the gamete you are getting in the progenies, either it may be a parent 1 type or parent type. Either either green type or red type. Then there is a recombination. During the meiosis, crossover between the chromatids, sister chromatid, if exchange of chromosomal segment happens, this is the red and green or exchange happens. So because of that, you have fraction of red come into the green. Same way, the fraction of red go to the green, fraction of green go to red. So that we call it as recombinant. So among the pair of chromosomes, that's why whenever you see out of 50% of the gametes are recombinant types, because 50% are parental type. So these two are parental type, one green and one red. These two are parental type. These two, another 50%, you have the recombinant type. So after when you get the recombinant progeny, when you see the recombinants, you get 50% will be the recombinant type, 50% will be the parental types. So this is why any kind of crossover occurs in any chromosomal region or any gene of interest. Wherever the crossover happens, if you analyze only a smaller region, any given point of any given region, if you analyze between this case between A and B, between two genes or two locus or between two markers, there always you have the chance of 50% will be recombinant type, 50% will be the parental type. That's why when you look on the screening the markers in the population, we say that 50% are recombinants, 50% are the parental types. The closer together the genes, the less crossover occurs, so less recombination. Farther apart from the two genes are very far apart, there is more crossover than more recombinants. So that's why percentage of recombination directly correlate to the map unit. After 100 progenies when you screen, one progeny is recombinant, then 1 divided by 100, that is 1% of recombinant. So that's why when you look on the Morgan experiments on the fruit fly, it's a classical experiments. If you again relook on that, you'll get a very clear idea how the recombinants and crossover occur. For example, this is the double mutant with black and vestigial wing, black color fly and vestigial wing. This is the gray color wing and normal wings, gray color and normal wings. We designated B plus, VGP plus. Okay, so when you this is the heterozygote. So this is the homozygote. When you make a cross between this heterozygote and you test cross with the homozygote, you will get all kind of recombinant you will get. So when during the meiosis, the test it's produce the sperm, it's a homozygous type, black with vestigial wing. This case, it is a heterozygote material. So here you will get 4 kind of gametes. Either it's having gray or normal wing, or we have the black and vestigial wing. These are all 2 homozygotes. This is the recombinant types. So 50% will be the parental type, 50% will be recombinant types. When these F1's gametes are, when it's unite with this test cross material, then you will get the phenotype. Test cross offsprings looks like that. There are these between B plus and VG locus, between the color and also the wings locus, there is a recombinant happen. So we want to find out how much recombinant is there between these 2 locus. That's why we are counting each progeny, how much are wild type, how much are wild type, that is how much are black and vestigial type. This is parent, this is again parent. How many are recombinant types? So these 2 are recombinant types. So out of total number of 2,300 offsprings, these 391 progenies are recombinant types. So